So guys, today is our second day of preparing this car for the track to be able to get there. So yesterday we had the tune, everything went great. So far so good. We have just a few things that we need to fix, a couple of tiny things, which we'll do tonight once we go back to our shop. But in the meantime, we're aligning the car and corner balancing it, which is a process when you're doing it for the first time on a brand new car and everything is installed new, like new shocks, new suspension, new angle kit, combining like 4 or 5 different companies to do one job with the sway bars. It's quite tricky the first time and it requires some patience. We've been here literally for like maybe 3 hours now or 2 hours. I'm not even sure anymore. And all we've done till now is just set the ride height on the car, set our droop settings, and square out the front end. So we want to have our toe adjustments relatively the same so we can get a good accurate reading. And we also need to have our ride height almost exactly, like almost what we want to run. Okay, so that our droop settings are going to be true. Because obviously if you tilt the car forward, up from one side more than the other, it can affect the reading where you're putting the weight. So now at this stage, we're happy with the ride height that we have. This is a thing that you're going to kind of eyeball and tell based on how close you are to your fenders and to your body kit and your offset so that you don't have any contact with any of the body parts. Same thing with the front. Once it's relatively where you want it and it's kind of like straight, like we can tell right now the car is kind of level. It's high enough where it's not going to hit anything once it's compressing. So now that we have a square setup going around, we can start our alignment. So now the alignment that we're going to do is going to be just an elision alignment. So we're going to get the numbers as close as we can without having to pull off the suspension several times. But we're going to get it as close as we can to the numbers that we want to run. Once we're happy with these numbers or they're close to what we want, we're going to obviously lock everything in place. Not fully, but just like enough that where it won't move. We're going to get it off the jack, put it on the scales. So we have our scales over here. Excuse the drinks on top. These are our supply for today. So we have our weight scales. I'll explain more about the corner balancing once we get to it. It's a pretty straightforward concept, but it's a little bit tricky to do if you're doing it for your first time. After that, after finishing the corner balancing, then we're going to put it back on the alignment machine, and hopefully our corner balancing adjustments are not so drastic that they changed our alignment significantly. Because all you can change in your corner balancing is your cross weight. You can't change the weight front to back or right to left. You can only shift it in a diagonal way. But in other cases, I've had to do a little bit more of a dramatic change, so it would affect the alignment, put it back off, change it again, go back on, until you're kind of like tweaking one side a little bit at a time until you get there. It takes time. So I was saying last that we're gonna now put the car on these pallets that I have just to roll it onto the scales back and forth so that the suspension settles. We're gonna check the corner balance. If it is within spec or very close, it's gonna be minor tweaks. But obviously the driver has to be in the car. Car should be full weight. It is relatively full weight right now. I don't think our fuel tank is full nor empty. So we'll check that. And then hopefully we don't have to do any major changes. So I think I repeat that like 4 times now. So we have the car on the scales. That's why we have these blocks. So we roll it onto the scales. So we rolled it onto the scales. And me and Wissam even Kurt, the camera guy, are really relieved that we don't have to tweak the car, because we've been here for like 7-8 hours. We're worried that we're going to have to do a lot still to get it corner balanced, and if you change a lot you have to realign, and we're tired, we're hungry, and we still got to change a few things for tomorrow, so that we got to prepare a few things for tomorrow, the track. So I'm glad to say that the corner balancing came out of the box perfect. There is literally nothing else we can do to get it better. Which is unique, because usually I do have to change quite a lot to get it to be perfect. So we're at 49.8, which is like as perfect as you're gonna get it cross weight. Really, as long as you're within 1 to 2%, your work is done. You don't have to do anything more than that. So let me show you over here our cross weights. I think this might reflect from the sun, from the lights. So I'll tilt it over. So these numbers are in pounds for you guys Americans. I know you prefer pounds. For Europeans and Middle Easterns, just divide that by 2.2, and these are the numbers. So that's left front, left rear, right rear. So our rear and our fronts are exactly the same weight, which means our cross is also exactly the same weight. I've never actually put the car on the scales and had it this perfect without having to tweak it, so I'm really relieved. I'm shocked because this time we actually picked the location of things based on what is easier for me to work with, not our cross weights. So I was considering the lines on the right side and the tunnel is gonna offset my weight and so on and so forth, but I was still expecting that we're gonna have a hard time. Now, this is not with me sitting in it. So when I sat in it, we are still within the spec of 49. We went down to a 49.7, which is almost nothing of a difference. The left front went up by just around 20 kilograms, so it's also not a difference. So it's fine, and our fuel tank is not 100% full. I think it's at only like 30 or 40%. So there's probably like another 10 liters or 12 liters of fuel in there. Point is, we're really happy with it. The car is heavy, but I was expecting it to be heavy anyways. The cage that we chose is a heavy weight. These chassis are anyways much heavier than the S chassis and stuff like that. And personally for me, I'm fine with this weight. I'm happy about it. It is around 1,350 kilograms, which is the same weight my 350 is at. But it's around 150 kilograms heavier than my S13. So it is quite heavy compared to the S13. But I mean, the 350 with this weight works perfect. And I chose that I want to go with a stiffer and newer chassis over the S chassis because I was tired of how flimsy the S chassis are. I wanted something like my 350 to be solid, but it comes at a price. It comes with around 150 kilograms more in weight for it because the metal is just thicker, the chassis is thicker, stiffer, but I'm fine with that price. I've learned my lesson now. So yeah, so that's our cross weight. It's 49.46. Let me see the difference front to rear. So one second, partial percentage. Yeah. So our front is 56, our rear is 43.3. So rear is 44%, front is 56. That's still, that's actually better than my S13. So my S13, I believe, was a 58 and the rear was 42, something like that. This is a 44 and 56. So front to rear, this is actually much better than the S13. So I'm happy about that. Our right side is 49.9, which is only 0.5% or 0.1% heavier or lighter than our left side. So the left side of the car is heavier, obviously me sitting in it, so it's gonna make it heavier, but only 0.1%. So anything within 1% is as close as you're gonna get, so that's really good. So our work here is done. And Wissam has the biggest smile on his face because we don't have to touch it. So that's the overall, which reminds me, I need to take a picture of the overall cross hatch pattern. Yeah. Yep. And that's it for us today. We're going to take it back, button up a couple of things at the end, and see how the testing goes on tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be really happy with the alignment, that I don't have to come back and do any major changes. If we're gonna just do touch-ups on toe, that can be done at the track. If we're gonna do a few touch-ups on caster, that can also be done at the track. And I wanna thank our Auto Studio guys for letting us use their alignment machine for 7-8 hours one hit, because Not a lot of shops will allow you to do that. So our friend Hazem works here. He's connected with the owner. And the guys here are really nice. They let us work all day on the alignment machine. No one bothered us. No one told us anything. So big thanks to Auto Studio guys. Anyways, see you guys tomorrow at the test.